Have you ever thought about what it's like to walk into a courtroom to represent yourself without any legal training? It's a daunting reality for many people today.
It's honestly like taking a final exam for the most important class of your life, but you don't have a pen, a study guide, or even the questions.
That sounds incredibly stressful. Is that personal feeling of being lost what actually led you to start building the Thoxy platform?
It really was. I had to represent myself in some civil matters, and I was totally overwhelmed. I had the facts and the documents, but no roadmap.
So you knew what happened and you had the proof, but you didn't know how to translate that into something a judge would find useful?
Exactly. There's this massive gap between having a real problem and knowing how to present it legally. That gap is why we're building these tools.
Before we dive into the specific tech, give us the simple version. For someone who's never heard of it, what exactly is Thoxy?
We build legal AI tools for ordinary people dealing with civil disputes. We help them organize their evidence, understand the next steps, and prepare their paperwork.
It sounds like you're not trying to replace lawyers, but rather making sure people don't walk into a legal process completely blind.
That's it exactly. We aren't trying to turn everyone into an attorney. We just want to make sure they're prepared and confident when they stand before a judge.
Your first major product is called Small Claims Genie. Why did you decide to start with small claims specifically?
Small claims is where the average person is most likely to encounter the legal system. It's high volume, and people usually can't afford a lawyer for it.
How does a user actually start the process with the Genie? Do they need to know a bunch of legal jargon first?
Not at all. You just explain what happened in plain English, just like you're telling a friend. Then you upload whatever photos or documents you have.
So the AI takes that conversational story and starts turning it into a structured case? That seems like a huge weight off someone's shoulders.
It really is. The system helps identify missing information, organizes a clear timeline, and even helps draft a formal demand letter to the other party.
Filing the actual court documents is usually where people get the most intimidated. How does the platform handle the technical side of the law?
We guide the user through the specific court documents and service requirements. It makes sure you're checking all the boxes so your case doesn't get tossed out.
I noticed there's also a feature for practicing your statement. Is that like a digital dress rehearsal for the hearing?
It is. You can conduct a mock hearing with the AI to practice explaining your case clearly. It helps you stay concise when you're under pressure.
That's a brilliant use of the tech because nerves can really make you forget your best points once you're standing in front of the judge.
Definitely. Practice builds the kind of confidence you need to succeed. If you've said it once to the AI, the real thing feels much more manageable.
It's great to see AI being used to actually help people navigate these tough situations. Thanks for coming in to explain how it all works.
Thanks for having me. We're just excited to help people get a fair shot in the system without feeling so overwhelmed by the process.
That sounds very different from typing, "My contractor ripped me out. What do I do?" into a chatbot,
Very different. A general chatbot can be helpful, but a legal dispute isn't just a single question you ask once and move on from.
right? It's not a one and done interaction. There's a lot more moving parts than just getting a quick definition or some advice.
Exactly. It's a developing case with parties, dates, documents, evidence, deadlines, and decisions that all need to be tracked over time.
So that's where Small Claims Genie comes in. It's more of a specialized assistant for the long haul.
It's designed around that specific case. It remembers the organized information and continues building from it rather than starting from scratch every time.
So the goal isn't just to generate a quick answer, it's about seeing the whole thing through.
Precisely. The goal's to help the user complete a process. I noticed your tagline is slightly less formal than the average court document, though.
I was going to mention that. It definitely stands out compared to standard legal jargon.
It's pretty blunt. Don't get screwed. Get your money back.
Very subtle.
Extremely subtle, but underneath the attitude is a serious message. People shouldn't have to abandon a legitimate claim just because the process is confusing.
Or because professional help is unaffordable. You spent 20 years in systems integration before this. How did that connect with your legal experience?
My work was always about complex systems, finding where information gets lost, where people get stuck, and how to make a process less prone to error.
So when you found yourself in a legal dispute, you were already looking at it like a broken workflow that needed fixing?
Exactly. When I became self represented, I saw the legal process through that lens. Information was scattered everywhere: emails, texts, files with unclear names.
It's overwhelming. Even if you're right, if you can't find that one specific email from 6 months ago, you're in trouble.
Even when the facts are strong, the process can break down because the information isn't organized. I saw dates I hadn't written down and procedures I didn't understand.
Is that when you started building your own tools to manage the chaos?
I started using structured AI assisted workflows to accumulate evidence, build timelines, and prepare filings so I'd actually be ready for court.
Do you think you would have made it through the case without that kind of structured approach?
Honestly, I probably would have given up. It would have taken too much time, and I wouldn't have been nearly as effective in front of a judge.
It sounds like you ultimately had a really positive result with the case, but I'm curious how much of that was actually due to the new technology you used.
We won and we collected, but I want to be careful here. AI didn't just wave a magic wand. The result came from doing the hard work and being prepared.
So it wasn't a guaranteed outcome just because you had the software. It was more about how you organized the facts and the paperwork.
Exactly. AI just helped make all that work manageable. That was the real proof point for me, seeing how it handled the heavy lifting.
It showed you what might be possible for someone who doesn't have your specific systems background or technical expertise.
Right. A legal tool shouldn't require you to be technical. It should guide you in plain language and help you understand what comes next in the process.
Can you give us a practical example of how that actually looks in a real-world scenario?
Take a contractor dispute. Someone pays a deposit and the work is incomplete or defective. The person usually just says the contractor was a total disaster.
Which is a totally fair human reaction, but I'm guessing that's not enough to win a case in front of a judge.
It's not. A purpose-built system should ask the questions that develop the case, like what the agreement required and what you actually paid.
So it forces you to look at the evidence, like emails and invoices, rather than just relying on your feelings about the situation.
Precisely. It leads you to the photographs and estimates, then helps organize them into a timeline that connects every important fact to its supporting evidence.
That sounds much more convincing than just standing there and telling the court that the whole experience was a nightmare.
Instead of saying it was a nightmare, you can say, here's the agreement, here's what happened, and here's the evidence for the amount I'm asking for.
Yes. I love how you put it. Courts need organized facts, but people show up with lived experiences that don't always fit into a neat box.
That's exactly right. Our job is to help translate that human experience into a clear, evidence-supported presentation that a judge can actually work with.
Let me push back a bit, though. AI systems are often built to be agreeable. What keeps a tool from just telling users whatever they want to hear?
It definitely shouldn't just agree with them. One of its most important jobs is actually to identify the weaknesses in their story before they get to court.
So it acts more like a skeptical advisor than a cheerleader. How does that work in practice when someone's uploading their documents?
If you say you paid a defendant, the system asks how you can prove it. If you say you demanded a refund, it looks for the email or text.
That makes sense. It's flagging gaps in the evidence before the user officially files anything and runs into trouble.
Exactly. If the damages don't add up or a necessary date is missing, the system identifies that gap immediately so the person can fix it.
I imagine that's way less satisfying than hearing you're absolutely right and you're going to win your case, though.
It's less of an ego boost, but it's much more useful. False confidence can really hurt someone. Real preparation means being honest about the weak spots, too.
Does the system ever have to be the bearer of bad news and just tell somebody not to proceed at all?
It has to recognize when a matter is outside its lane. Not every dispute belongs in small claims, and not every case should be filed.
There must be a line where a human lawyer just has to step in because the stakes are too high or the law is too messy.
Definitely. Some situations are too complex or involve too much money. Responsible legal AI is as much about recognizing its own limits as its capabilities.
Let's return to the obvious comparison. Why not just use ChatGPT, Claude, or another general-purpose AI for this?
Those tools are powerful, and I use them myself, but they're designed to do a million different things. A purpose-built legal system is focused entirely on a specific workflow.
Right. Like the difference between a tool that can do anything and one that's specialized for a single job.
Exactly. You build a car to drive and a plane to fly. Legal AI should be designed around the specific task it needs to complete, like structured intake or organized evidence.
So the person shouldn't have to invent the right prompt or keep reconstructing their case from memory every time they log in.
Precisely, and the system isn't going to suddenly recommend a taco restaurant while you're preparing for court. It knows its lane.
That's a relief. But small claims isn't identical everywhere. How do you deal with those regional differences?
We build jurisdiction by jurisdiction. The forms, limits, and filing procedures all differ. Accuracy matters more than pretending one workflow applies to every state.
That sounds a lot slower than just announcing that the system works everywhere right out of the gate.
It is slower, but it's also responsible. In legal technology, disciplined expansion is a feature, not a weakness. We started in California, and we're expanding very deliberately.
Some attorneys might hear this and think you're trying to replace them. Is this whole project anti-lawyer?
Not at all. I respect the training attorneys bring. There are definitely matters where having a good lawyer is absolutely essential.
So who is this for, if not the people already hiring lawyers?
It's for the huge group of people who can't afford traditional representation or whose claims are too small to justify the fees. Ignoring them doesn't protect the profession. It just leaves a problem unsolved.
It sounds like there's room for a hybrid model too, where you use the tech for the prep work and then consult a human.
Absolutely. A user can organize their evidence and build a timeline in the system, then pay an attorney for a targeted review. It makes the attorney's time much more focused.
Why start with small claims specifically? Why was that the natural proving ground?
Because it was designed for ordinary people. The disputes are recognizable, like security deposits or unpaid loans. People don't need a lecture on legal theory. They need to know what facts matter.
What happens when the AI is wrong? People are going to be worried about hallucinations or mistakes.
We don't pretend it's infallible. We narrow the job, build jurisdiction-specific guardrails, and require users to verify critical info. We aren't promising outcomes.
So this is support, not magic, and definitely not a replacement for human judgment.
Correct. It's like a calculator. A calculator doesn't decide what numbers belong in the equation, but it makes the calculation easier. It's a tool for organization and preparation.
What about privacy? People are uploading some pretty sensitive stuff, like contracts and private messages.
That's a huge priority. Privacy can't be a marketing footnote. It has to be part of the architecture, so users know exactly how their data is protected and controlled.
So we've talked about the immediate tools, but what's the long-term vision for all this? Where are we actually heading?
It's part of a much bigger picture that we're approaching very carefully. I've spent a lot of time in family court watching self-represented people really struggle to communicate.
I can only imagine how stressful that is. You're dealing with your kids, your home, and your entire future all at once.
Exactly, and they're understandably emotional. But the court still needs organized facts, reliable evidence, and clear answers to make any kind of ruling.
There's a massive gap there between what someone is actually living through and what they're able to effectively say in a courtroom.
That gap makes people ineffective right when they most need to be heard. Complex family matters need stronger guardrails and more opportunities for attorney involvement.
So the goal isn't necessarily to replace the lawyers, but to change how the person participates in the whole process.
The mission is to help people become better organized and prepared. If we look 5 years down the line, success means fewer legitimate problems just disappear.
Because they didn't know where to start or couldn't afford a huge retainer right away.
Right. Success is when someone understands the process sooner, preserves the right evidence, and sees the weaknesses in their own case before they get too deep.
It sounds like you're trying to give them a reality check as much as a helping hand.
Definitely. Fair access doesn't mean guaranteeing a specific result. Not every case should be filed, and not every case will be won.
It's about having the opportunity to actually present the facts and be heard by the system.
The judicial system belongs to the public. Technology should be the bridge that helps the public actually participate in it.
If someone listening is in the middle of a dispute right now, what's the one thing they should take away from this?
Do not wait to get organized. Keep the contract, save the texts, and download the emails. Keep every single receipt and payment record.
It's so easy to think you'll just remember everything, but months later, the details get blurry.
Don't assume you'll remember. Take photos and write down dates while they're fresh. You don't need to know every legal rule, but you do need reliable facts.
So whether they use your platform or hire a traditional attorney, that organization is their strongest starting point.
It really is. We want ordinary people to have a fairer chance through better preparation, not through hype or empty promises.
And maybe don't wait until the night before court to realize your evidence is scattered across 3 phones and a kitchen drawer.
That is excellent legal advice and just good life advice in general.
Thank you so much for joining us today to break this all down. It's been really enlightening.
Thank you. I really appreciate the time to talk about it.